PKN 145. I want to talk fitness. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah?
Been doing good overall. Cheated on the eating some this weekend because I went fishing and went on like a couple day trip with my dad and brothers. So, but even then, like if you feel like shit about yourself as you're eating cheat meals, it deters further things. Especially like this is what I've found to do. Is like if I order just a regular cheeseburger on the like menu, I really amp it up in my head how much of a cheat day that is, when a really severe cheat day would have been getting like the Whiskey River barbecue burger at Red Robin. That's like 2,000, and that's such a fucking good burger.
Red Robin.
If you just convince yourself that it's that it's way worse than it is, then you don't get that out of control. Because like by the end of the day, when I was like tallying it up, it's like, oh, I had a cheat day and I ate like 2,600 calories. That's not horrible, you know, probably less than what Kyle's eating now. But obviously,
how many calories do you think you burn a day?
I don't know. Like
I used a calculator, and I probably said it wrong. Fuck you, people. I used a calculator, and it said I was between between 2,100 and 2,500 on a day, depending on how active I am.
You mean like one of those websites where it like tells you your basal metabolic rate,
something,
or whatever it is?
Yep.
Yeah. It's got to be more than 2,000. I don't think
know.
Mine's probably like 2,200, 2,300, 2,400.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
I wish we could get some sort of like legit scientific numbers for that, right? Because whenever you're just filling in data on a website, you're getting this broad spectrum, just any size fits everyone kind of bullshit that doesn't incorporate maybe like, you know, our body chemistry and what we're eating and what we're doing and stuff. I know that you can get to like determine your exact fat content. You can do that submersion thing where they put you in water, and anything that weighs more than they can calculate. That way they're not weighing the water, I guess. They're determining your actual fat content. And I wonder if there's anything like that for your basal metabolic rate. I've calculated mine a bunch of times. It's usually like, you know, 2,000, 2,200, 2,300, somewhere in there. So
yeah, I had no idea. Like, yeah, I would hear like, oh, this thing costs 6,000 calories, right? And I'm
That's
like,
how I think of it.
Yeah, right. You know, like this is my budget, and this is what I'm spending on each thing. And and I was like, I really don't know how much I burn in a day. And to me, like, if you had told me 5,000 was normal, I'd be like, oh yeah, because I really didn't know. But there it is. So my range is somewhere, I think, like 21 to 2,500. Like I had a really active day Saturday. I was actually teaching people to fly. I served as like an assistant instructor, and that's just on your feet, 90 degrees.
Wait.
Carrying
an
shit.
Assistant instructor or an insistent instructor? Because I wouldn't like that.
Actually,
you do it the way I say, or you get the fuck out of here.
I kind of jumped in because I saw the other instructor was being very harsh, right? Like, this is a brand new thing.
He was an insistent instructor.
Yeah, he was. And like, guy would like pull the wrong brake and the wing goes to the ground. He's just learning to kite the wing. And it's like, why are you mad at him? Like, this guy literally has 10 minutes experience doing this, and you're pissed he's not good? You know, like, this is hard. And so I was just like, here, you know, let me lend a hand. And I ended up lending a hand all day long and burnt some calories.
That's good. Yeah. Like, I see it the same way with the side. I liked how you say it, that it costs something, because I really think that's the most effective way to think about it. Because otherwise you just can, like, you know, it's so easy. I almost did it, you know, just a few minutes ago, and I was like, what do I want to get for dinner? Well, I have plenty of stuff to make at home, or I could go to Qdoba. And I was like, oh, but can I afford to spend 1,000 calories because I'm not going to go there and get up something that I don't want to eat?
Get the bowl. The bowl isn't bad. I've gotten not from Qdoba, but from Chipotle. Yeah, I go and get their bowls, and it's whichever one has the brown rice that you can get, because I get the burrito places mixed up, but I get the brown rice and make a bowl of that, and I don't feel bad about eating that at all, especially if you get double meat. I don't feel that
bad about it. Like, yeah, that's what I do when I get bowls there, is I get brown rice and double meat.
Yeah.
But like, as I'm going through the line of all the ingredients, like, I catch myself stopping on all the things that I usually want.
Cream,
where they're like, do you want our Diablo queso? And it's like, I do, but forego that. Do you want lots of cheese and sour cream and guac? No, just lettuce. Just lettuce and fajita vegetables.
Is it possible the guac is okay? Because you know, the avocado has many good properties to it.
I'm
I'm always
sure the
talking about
guac is
vitamins and
fine.
antioxidants. I put the guac in.
I
I just don't like
imagine
it that much. I'm not willing to spend. on
I,
guac.
that's it. Sometimes I look at food that is not on the good list. It's on the naughty list, and I say, "Are you worth it?" And most of them are not. At least for me right now. I'm down 8 pounds. You know what? Most of last week I was just barely hanging on to 7. I ignore decimals when I give my big round number, but I knew in my head like I was weighing 213.8. 213.6, and I was like, I might have a 7 to report next week too. You know, like it's just, I'm not gonna lie, and then come Friday, like clockwork, like the last 3 Fridays in a row, no special accommodations. It's not like I went outside and sweated and came in. I just rolled out of bed, hopped on the scale, and I was down 8. And then
You're on a good path then.
yeah, so I went camping this weekend, and I usually have my cheat meal on Thursday for whatever reason. I think maybe Colin has parkour or something. But this week I was like, Woody, I don't think you're trending towards a new number. Let's skip the cheat day. And then it turned out on camping there really wasn't a lot of choices, so I had my cheat day Friday or Saturday night. But bottom line is I'm down 8 now. My kettlebell's in. I did my first kettlebell workout today. And I just Googled for it, and on it, like Joe Rogan's, I guess, company has a beginner kettlebell workout with 10 exercises to do. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just do that. You didn't give me yours, did you?
No, I'll write that out
okay.
to you right after this.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. But so I was like, well, I don't have any other place to start. So it had 10 exercises, and they had like a written description and a video of each one. So I was like, cool. And so now I sort of broke the ice on that.
I mean, just unboxing them and putting them in place is your first kettlebell workout. I got a little Tucker just putting them in order.
My
Just put
my
them in
wife
order,
had it
tuck
right
your
by the front door. She moved it 4 feet and called it good. And so I broke the seal on that. No skateboarding today. It's raining outside. But I've been on target. I've only had 1 cheat meal per week for the last month or so, and I'm losing about 1 pound a week. I go on the keto subreddit. I see these people losing so much faster than me, and I don't know. I would love to have a phase where I start losing 2 pounds or 3 pounds a week. I don't know what they're losing though exactly, because that ties into that's when I started looking up calories burnt per day. Like these people are losing 2 and 3 pounds a day. And I was like, is that all fat?
No.
Yeah,
No,
right?
that would be a lot of water weight.
It would have to
like
be.
a little bit of fat. And if you lose weight, like I know from when I lost a fuck ton of weight a couple of years ago, like in the midst of the weight loss, you're like, all right, losing fat. And then at the end of it, you're like, oh, goddamn, like I lost a lot of muscle in this process as well. Because like if you cut your calories that much and you're not working out a lot or eating a ton of protein, like you're just going to start to atrophy.
Yeah, I don't think that's my scenario. I am working out and I am eating tons of protein. So the protein's like
That's good.
primary part of my diet, really. But
The diet is so much harder than the working out part because like it's so easy to ruin it with the diet where you just are like, oh, just swinging by Wendy's for lunch today can't be that bad. I'll eat something healthy. No, you won't. No, you won't because there's nothing there that's healthy. Like you have
There
to.
is.
they have a salad, but I
don't know.
I had the salad like a month ago or something. I was nearly forced to go to Wendy's, and I walked away thinking that it was on the good list, but I still don't go there often.
So the salad is not on the good list, unfortunately, because of the dressing.
That's on you. I didn't have any dressing.
Oh, no dressing.
I think I might have used less than a packet, but
salad without dressing is like anal without lube. You just don't fucking do it. Just don't do it.
Strong point.
That's silly. The dressing is usually the killer, but I like vinaigrette or oil and vinegar, something like that. It's tangy. I don't like the raspberry vinaigrette. That's fucking nasty. I don't want any raspberry in my life at all, much less on greens. But as long as you don't get the cheese and stuff. But at Wendy's, I haven't done it recently, but there's been a couple of times where like you just gotta work fast food into like a healthy lifestyle one way or another. If you're out doing stuff, it's going to happen. You're hungry and you know it's better to eat bad than it is to starve yourself if you're like trying to get your metabolism in order and live a healthy lifestyle. So sometimes you do that. But what I used to do is if it was McDonald's, I would order 2 grilled chicken sandwiches plain. And then I would take the chicken out and I would eat the fucking chicken breast. And it sounds terrible, But McDonald's, the way that they cook their grilled chicken, they put the grilled chicken breast that's already like marinated and covered with lots of spices and stuff on a grill, and they put like this metal ring around it and pour water in and then cap it, and they sort of like steam grill it with all that seasoning on it, and it's really tasty. It really is. So I'd just eat those like a caveman while I drove, or I'd go to Wendy's and they have these grilled chicken wraps, and I would get those plain, and I would not eat the wrap. I would just pick the chunk of grilled chicken that's like 2 fingers worth out, and I'd eat like 4 of those as I went. Doesn't sound like a good time, but it's
but
it's
you
the only
feel
way.
better after the meal,
yeah.
don't you? Knowing that you
accomplished,
didn't indulge yourself too much.
The trick is to stop thinking about food as a reward, or as like, oh yeah, once I get all of this done, then comes dinner. Like a lot of us get into that mindset of like, yeah, meals are my reward for the work that I do between them.
Yeah.
Or meals are what I'm waiting on. That's what this all builds up to for today. It's that big dinner tonight. Just get rid of that. Forget that whole mindset and think of food as fuel and nutrients and vitamins and, for your body. Don't think of it as like a pleasurable thing, and things will go a lot easier for you. That sounds awful, right?
I'm sure you're right, but I'm not there.
No.
Yeah.
It takes a while. You've got to get to the point where like sugar like hurts your teeth, and it's just, ooh, that's too sweet.
I have been pretty disciplined about low sugar. And also, well, I have found that I crave it less. And I used to drink water, and I've talked about this
before. Has that
before.
been hard for you, like cutting the sugar more than anything? Because I know that you're like the big thing you turn to that you like a lot is like lemonade or like sweet drinks or juices and like lots of sugar. Has that been the hardest thing to overcome for you?
I swear it was harder when I just dipped my toe in it. Like, because there were a lot of times where it'd be like, you know what? I'm only having like a, cran raspberry for dinner. Right. And with lunch, I'll have water. And then that lunch would be like, oh my God, like this sucks so much. And then with this round, I just like, you know what? Done. The sugar's gone. And it wasn't long. It was only like 4 or 5 days before I stopped missing it. So it turns out maybe that's why alcoholics and heroin addicts do it the way they do. They just stop cold turkey. They don't be like, you know what? I'm cutting down to 1/3 the heroin I used to do because it doesn't work.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard
what
that
they
heroin
do-
addicts who allow themselves an allowance of it do very poorly.
Yeah.
Well, no, see, they go to the methadone clinic, right? They get the artificial heroin, and that's the same thing as you going and getting the Diet Pepsi.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Diet
But
Pepsi
diet
and,
soda is way
like,
less bad for
The
you.
parallel's
Oh, yeah.
falling
Yeah,
apart in
sure.
here.
I don't think so. I don't think you've done enough methadone.
I have done
But yeah,
very
you're right
little
about-
methadone.
Thinking about food as numbers makes it easier. If you're just like if you really cement your thought process, like you have a budget in your head, like I really try and keep it to like 1,700 calories a day right now, because that's lower than what I probably should be eating with as much as I'm working out, but I'm trying to lose weight. And so I figure like if I do cheat and I'll get mad at myself, but it might only be like 1,900 calories. So I get the benefit of the self-shame to encourage me in later days, but also like the cheating isn't as bad.
How's
Yeah.
the
Food
mental
is
side of
numbers.
it go? Like, are you proud of your accomplishment? Like, are you happy? Are you still nothing but disappointed in you? Like, where?
No, I'm starting to feel better about myself. Like when I yell at myself in the mirror now, a lot less is shaking around. And I'm like, all right, like I'm starting to look pretty good up here, and I'm like,
But I'm
feeling
still
good.
disappointed. And now
And
we
I-
got to this point. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I love you.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
at the
I'm
end, that's the last thing you say is like, I love you. And like you turn the light off.
You know what I do sometimes when I'm doing it is like if I can tell I'm really doing a good job shaming myself if like I've just been like staring at like my belly in the mirror for a while, like shaking it, and I can't bring my I haven't looked in my eyes in a while, and I'll be like, look at yourself in the eyes, and I'll look at myself in the eyes. I'll be like,
You're rough.
what have you done? What are you doing? And I did. Oh, this sounds so silly. It's so effective. It is so
Dude,
effective.
the success I'm having now represents failure of 18 months ago, right? Like I see 212 on there. It's a notable improvement from 220. When I sit in the car with bad posture, my like I have a belly over the bottom like lap belt part that I'm very unhappy with. So I was driving home yesterday, I think, and it was like, like this is not where I want it to be, but it's measurably different. Even 8 pounds, I can feel the difference in that belly. And but it's like, no, Woody, look, 2015 Woody would have been like 212. You fucking piece of shit. It's not time to celebrate. You have more work to go. And this is a fucking thing. So, related topic. My mother-in-law is here with us, and she has friends that came and visit her yesterday. I haven't seen these people since I got married 21 years ago. They came to the wedding. And she sees me, and she's like, oh, looking me down carefully. Oh, yeah. You were thinner. Yeah, I was fucking thinner 21 years ago. For fuck's sake, that's how you meet me? That's how
I can't believe you didn't drop the hammer. Yeah, you were younger. You were a lot younger.
Yeah, dude,
what happened?
The fuck?
What happened?
Yeah, and it didn't even stop there. I was like, yeah, I'm working on it. And then I wasn't hanging out with him or anything, but I guess Jackie gave him the tour of the house or something, and they see me again. They're like, huh, no one should be heavy in this house. There's so much walking. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, yeah, gained the weight while I was making the money. And they're like, well, that's okay then. Jesus, who says shit like that? But they're here.
A rude.
Oh, dirty cunt.
Wow. I would be livid if someone came into my beautiful home after not seeing me for 2+ decades and saying, hey, you've gained a little weight. And you go, yeah, last time you saw me, I was 25.
23.
Or 23.
Yeah.
So of course things have changed a bit. I have a child who's almost as old as I was at the time.
And I'm still thinking about it.
Just keep it simple. Just be like, well, you're still the same cunt. Just walk away.
You haven't changed a bit.
For what it's worth, I was not at all short on comebacks or things to say. I just bit my tongue. Because, they look, for all the ribbing I'm getting, they're here to see her while she's sick. And that should count for a lot.
No. If your mother-in-law said some stuff like this, you let it slide. You're like, hey, she's having a hard time. Who knows where that's even coming from? If her picking on me maybe gives her a little solace, let me have it, both barrels. But it's her friends. They're not ill.
But they're here doing something nice for her. That's the thought process. So, but yeah, anyway, it's still on my head. All she had to talk. Really, we didn't talk about anything else except my weight gain. She just brought it up every time I entered
Woody
the room.
Doesn't need any self-shaming. He had a couple old ladies come over and do it for him.
Man, that would piss me off so much.
Oh, my God.
I'd have to just go outside.
Yeah. I did. I went to the Southern Sunroom and just started hanging on. I was like, I'm going by myself.
That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate fuck you to anybody who comes at you. You go, that's it. I'm just gonna go take a break in my Southern sunroom. Nobody else I've ever met has to qualify which sunroom they're attending.
We have fun on
the Eastern one's a bit chilly this time of year, given the geographic disparity in the size of my estate. It started to snow on the north side of my property.
His house creates its own climate zone. So the northernly face of it is very dry and arid because the clouds are stopped by the peaks of the home.
I want that. I went paramotoring today. The north side of my property was a little windy, so I had to go east. Still lots of room to fly.
That's good.
But yeah. So anyway, shaming's been going great. I brought in some help. And but the losing weight, I seem to be at a pound a week schedule, and I like to believe that it's a real pound. I'm not just dropping water weight every week or something.
I took a pound of bacon last night, and I slathered it with half a cup of brown sugar and a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, until it was just kind of I really slathered it with my bare hands. I got it all in a bowl and mushed it into the brown sugar and the mustard until it was completely.
And this was around dinner time for dinner.
This was at 4 in the morning.
Of course it was.
This was 4 a.m. this morning, and I baked it up real good for 20 minutes until it was crispy, and then I got it out and put it on some racks and let it drip dry and get all the grease and fat off of it, and then it hardens. The bacon after 20 minutes is already pretty dark and crispy, which is how I like it. But after this process, it has a hard candy shell on the outside of brown sugar and tangy mustard. It's delicious. It's amazing.
I imagine it is.
That does sound pretty good.
I'm about to go on the clean side of my diet. This isn't going to last longer. I've gained almost 5 pounds right now. I'm
Really?
like 86 or so. Feeling like shit. Had some real bad diarrhea earlier. So we're about to go into lots of healthy stuff and lean meats and fiber.
Is the weight that you're gaining, do you feel like it's being distributed well, or do you feel like, well, I can see that 5 pounds I put on? Like,
oh yeah, it always goes. It goes to the same places. I guess I get like love handles. I get a little bit of a belly, and I get man boobs. It goes to my thighs for sure. But it's a while before it goes to my face and my neck, and my arms, and like my arms aren't jiggly or anything at all. Like everything up. Most of me is fine. It distributes in weird places, but then it comes right back off from those places first. I've noticed, like whenever I start losing weight, I'd be like, oh yeah, like what he was talking about when you're in the car, if your belly comes over the lap belt at all, like especially if you're wearing, like, depending on the shirt you're wearing, if you're wearing like a polo sometimes and it's tight, it's like, there's not even any way to hide that. I can't even floof that up or anything. This is
yeah,
God
that's
damn
a
it.
good reality check.
Yeah, so like you definitely see that go away first, because I think it's because of the way our brains work when we're in cars, that sort of like inner brain that takes over, where we're kind of hypnotized. Like I'll also notice if I'm working out, the first thing I'll notice is that I'll be in the car, and because I always put my arm kind of on the window, I'll be like, oh, that's not how my arm usually looks. Nice, it's working. So it's always in the car where I notice that I'm like getting fat or losing weight or getting in shape.
That's a good point.
The areas that motivated me the most to make a change, one was kind of a general, I don't like the way my shirts are hanging on me, like my chest and my belly, and like look, there should be like a flat chest, and the belly area should just all be wavy and not touching. That's how a shirt should fit on me, and that's not how it was fitting, especially when you get into like dry fit territory.
Yep.
And then the other is, especially with the wrong like camera angle or something, like my neck is not going to be the neck I dream of unless I have surgery or something. Like I could see my father and where I'm going to evolve to. And then
in and out, 3-day operation or 3-day healing period. You'd be good.
Tempting. Let's lose weight first and see where it stands.
Yeah, you do want to lose the weight first.
Yeah.
Let's lose weight first before the surgery.
And but yeah, I can see like how I'm going to age, and there's going to be kind of a straight line from here to here. I don't get that beautiful like neck that I want to say a Hollywood neck, but the truth is a lot of people have regular necks and don't have this
neck.
Yeah,
Mike
Pence has a good
well.
neck.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's an area that I also thought needed some work, and I don't know if I've seen any real improvement yet, but I will. It can't, if I keep losing weight.
I can tell like the progress in like the mirror shaming in that, like in the first part of doing it. Like I'm now on week 7 of working out, and I've worked out at least 3 times a week, an hour every time for 7 weeks now. So I haven't missed it yet. And I'm really, that part's is going great. But the fact that I'm having to like get into different positions to shame myself now a little bit. Like when I was doing it at first, it was like, just look at myself, and it was like, what have you done? Just look at the way you stand. Look at the body you inhabit, you fuck. Like, but now it's more like I'll like be yelling at myself, and I can't get enough fat to yell, and so I'll like scrunch over and be like, what the fuck have you done? Like that kind of shit.
How much
like,
weight have you
angles.
lost? Do you know what your weight loss is?
I'm like pretty much the same as last week. So I'm down to like 206 and a half, maybe 207.
And where'd you start?
So like 12, 13 pounds maybe. So like 219, 220 is where I started.
Wow. Yeah, you're definitely losing quicker than me. We'll see. And part of the reason for me, so I have 2 motivations to bring in the kettlebell. One was I like the way Taylor's shirt fits. It's the full homo, I guess. But I was like, like we're both making some positive changes, but I like that one and I want that one too. So that was part of it. Another is just maybe raise my metabolism or something. Add a little muscle. It can
the more muscle you have, the more you can eat, which is actually very incentivizing. Because it means you can just eat more. But
yeah, I looked it up one time, like how many calories like a pound of muscle burns. It was a lot fewer than you would hope. You'd hope it'd be like 1,000, right? Like, oh yeah,
right, yeah.
I got a pound of muscle I added back there. It burns up breakfast in half.
My daily my daily burn rate went from 2,200 to 3,200 with a pound of muscle.
Yeah, what a dream! Like, have you guys been taking pictures along the way?
No,
all?
I kind of regret. I didn't take pictures because I didn't want to see them. And now I almost want to have like a comparative picture. Like maybe I should take one soon. You know?
Well, see, I'm not at my worst yet. See, we're trending up. I may do that. I'm looking forward to the part where I like cut all the calories out and to see how fast I lose the weight, because I'm gonna really monitor it this time, and I'm gonna try to see what I do.
That's good.
It'll be fun.
I'm glad we're all sticking to it.
I've been trying to record my gameplay on PC. Chiz was saying OBS was the way to go, but it's just not. I used NVIDIA, I think it's Shadowplay, which is their thing, and it's like 2 clicks and it just does it. And the quality's perfect. Like, just perfect. Like with OBS, it was turning my gameplay purplish, and it just, the quality looked terrible. Like a third of what my quality should look like. And with Shadowplay, it looks excellent.
Shadowplay never worked well for me. Like, I couldn't capture. I guess there were times I wanted my mic and the PC, and like I could never get the audio either to both work or to be balanced properly like you expect it to be. And I really love the notion of offloading it to my video card, right? Usually my CPU's struggling and my video card's coasting. It's probably less true as it ages, but I just never had good luck with Shadowplay.
And it's perfect in my scenario because the game I'm playing, that Battlegrounds game, is very CPU taxing. So it's nice to just let the GPU take over a little bit.
You have a 1080, right? Or is it 1080 Ti or 1080?
I don't have the Ti. I was gonna get the Ti. I still might. I want to wait, I guess, until the next edition of the Ti comes out, the special Ti's. We'll see.
Oh, I didn't know that was going to be a thing.
But for what I've got, I mean, like I'm playing 40p or whatever in between 60 and 120 frames per second, depending on what's going on and what other programs I'm running. I'm not gonna get any better than that. Like I don't know where the improvement would really be, but I'm really loving the game, and I was getting so many fun little clips and having so much fun. I was like, I got to record some of this just so I can show Chiz, so he'll believe the thing that I just did. It just
for bragging rights.
I've been playing the squads mode, which is the 4 versus everybody's in teams of 4. But I realized that you could unselect matchmaking and you could go in by yourself into that mode. So I've been doing that, and I've been talking to the other team with an open mic.
The rest of your team or the other team?
I don't have a team. Everybody else's teams of 4, and just me just out there. So there's like 20 teams of 4 just roaming the wilderness, and me just creeping around looking for them. And last night I was walking, and all of a sudden I heard some chatter in its proximity voice, and I heard someone like, yeah, there's a helmet right here, and I was like, all right, then I'm hunting now, and I got them all. I got all 4 of them the whole time, just talking tons and tons of shit. What was I saying? I'm gonna take your lunch money, boy. I'm gonna take your lunch money. And I kill him, and I go to, because that's what you kill people and you loot them. That's the main goal of killing them. And I'm like looting him and looking at his stuff, and he didn't have anything good. I'm like, this was a poor kid. He's on free lunch. And I just kept, and he's like, fuck you, man, fuck you. And I'm like, I'm gonna take your buddy's lunch money too. And I just killed them one by one. It was so satisfying. That game makes my heart race so much more than any other game, really. I can't think of another game except maybe VR where I'm like in a nightmare scenario or something, and there's a leech scorpion on my neck.
There's a workout plan. VR.
I definitely break a sweat when I go into VR. If I'm doing like the archery game where you're constantly reaching back, drawing an arrow, and then pulling it back and letting it go, even though you've got those like 1-pound controllers, after you shoot 200 or 300 arrows, you're dripping with sweat.
So anyway, I guess that's fitness. I'm simultaneously excited to still be losing a pound a week and disappointed in my lack of weight loss.
Well, over time, we'll all hit our goals eventually, and then we'll taper off, and then probably a year after that, we'll be disappointed in ourselves again, and it will repeat.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's so stupid because you'll just gain it back. Yeah, well, imagine where I'd be, like, if I didn't do it. Like I don't know. I could see where I was trending. It's not so bad to revert that trend and hold it down.
Why do laundry or the dishes? They're just going to get dirty again. Why not just live in squalor and pretend you're happy with it, right?
Don't you hate that never-ending battle with laundry and dishes?
Laundry's one of my favorite
I
chores.
wouldn't know.
No, shut up, boy. Get out of here. Get out of here with that.
What are you, a laundry slave?
No, you need what I need. It's a magic basket. I just put the dirty clothes in the hamper, and then it shows up in my dresser. It's fucking awesome.
Some lady takes care of it for me.
We had a lady who would come over and do the dishes and the laundry and like everything else twice a week, and it was $100 a week. And then she had. You think so? To do like I don't think you understand the level of dishes and laundry. Like we make like 5-6 meals a day. Like there are pans piled up. Like every day I'm doing dishes for like 30 minutes, like scrubbing pans. Like it's a thing. And then the laundry as well. Like I'm telling you, 100 was a bargain. We were enthusiastic about this deal. And then she got a major heart problem and she couldn't do it anymore. So now I got to do it. I hate doing it.
You save $100 a week though.
I fucking want that $100 a week. Oh my! I don't want pruny hands. And Kitty's the worst. She'll dump like food into the sink, and then some plates will get on top of it, and the food has clogged the drain, and there's like 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters of water down there, getting all stagnant and like rotten with the food, and there's plates on top, so I don't even fucking know it. I just think, oh, there's like 4 dirty dishes in there and a pan on top, like a pizza pan. I'll clean that up tomorrow.
Part of why I don't help. Like so dishes waiting to be cleaned should be in at least a semi-clean state, right? You know, put
Break
them in the
that bitch
trash.
off.
Yeah, but Jackie will use the sink almost as a trash can. I'm
You
like,
have a garbage disposal? Like, I mean, in the sink?
not really, no. I mean, we're not supposed to run it because we have a septic system, so we don't use it as one, but it is there.
Yeah,
And,
I want one just for her. Like, I don't need one because I'm an adult and I can ching, 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 scrape my plates into a trash can. Or if it's cereal, here's a little pro tip for all of you adults who are listening to this. Pour that shit in the toilet. You just pour it in the toilet and flush it and it's gone. If you have half a bowl of cereal and you didn't eat all your goddamn cornflakes. Because in the sink, they turn into a mushy, disgusting paste that's rotten and putrid. And then I got to clean it.
So with cereal, I finish my cereal first of all, so that's not an issue with my cereal. But if I am for some reason cleaning the kids' cereal, I go to the backyard and just scatter that shit like
That
far
works
and
too. I was
wide,
gonna say that.
and
If
it
you're in
just
the country or
disappears.
something.
Yeah, I don't know, birds get it or deer or something,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just fucking gone. And but Jackie, like in the sink, there'll be like napkins or something, and it's like this is a wet napkin that was like maybe served with the meal, and you're on your own, woman. You know.
You're creating a perfect vacation spot for viruses and bacteria and daring them to start living in your sink. You
Well,
just
she-
leave wet.
She does it
napkins
every
and
day, so
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
so
Literally
it's a quick
happened
turnaround
today.
time.
Yeah.
This happened today, and in the end, she thought that she was in the right. It was like she was like, oh, there's French fries. Your French fries are in the sink, and I go and look, and I'm like, well, what's the rest of that shit? If that even is a French fry at this point, who can tell?
Your French fries.
Like you dumped all this in there, and she's like, could you at least get me the gloves so I can dig this out? I'm like, yeah, I'll get you your gloves, but I'm not digging that out. I'll get a new sink before I clean that mess
Kitty
up.
thought you
That's
were
like
wrong.
the same tone as like when you would come home from school after getting in trouble, and your mom would be like to your dad, like, "Your son called the girl at school a bitch." It's like, I'm both your son.
If Kitty thought you were wrong, you tell her that Woody agrees with her.
She thought it was all about whether or not it was a French fry
coward's
or
way
not.
out.
I'm like, it doesn't matter whose if it was my French fry that I cut. Even if it is my French fry, that means that it's food that I prepared for you, and then you made a mess with it. That's what that means if it is a French fry. But yeah, I really hate that. When I had roommates when I was like 19 or so, they were the worst, and it was their place, right? Like I was crashing with them, and I didn't feel like it was my responsibility to be like diving right into their dishes. They almost never were my dishes, and they would stink. They would have them piled up in the sink, and there was a smell that dirty dishes have. And it's always the same. I've smelled it maybe 4 times in my entire life, and I recognize that smell. It's the smell of rotten food in your sink. Yeah,
That's all that. Have you ever been in like a dirty dishes cold war with anyone before?
Yeah, that's what they would have. And trash cold wars, where it would just keep getting higher and higher, like on The Simpsons.
The trash cold wars, I lose those anytime because eventually I'm just like, I got to take this trash out. Like this is like I got to get rid of this.
Let me tell you about trash. Okay, so I've had trash is I've always in every capacity of my entire life been the trash guy, the one who takes the trash out and disposes of it, and it's always been my job to figure out what is done with the trash. When I lived in apartments and when I had shorter driveways, it was really easy to just take the trash to the curb. Woody, I'm sure you've got a whole system now to get your trash to the curb. It's an ordeal.
It's awesome. I love it. It's one of my favorite jobs.
It is my least favorite job, probably because I don't have like a special cart with a special hookup and a special trash can.
Yeah,
to, like,
we have
take
a
it off.
golf cart, and we just sort of push the cans up onto the thing, and then you get to drive the golf cart. And usually I'll bring it like, hey, who wants to take the trash out? And the kids are like, I'll come. And then we drive to the edge of the property where they come to pick it up.
When I was a kid, I was going to take our trash can to the end of the driveway, and it was very, very cold outside, and I had waited until like 10 p.m. the night before the trash is to be picked up. So it's nighttime and very cold, and I hop in an SUV, and I've got the big dumpster holding the handle, and I would drive the SUV down to the end of the driveway, dragging the thing down with my hand out the side with the door open, of course, because it's a big dumpster. And so I get in the car, I open the door, I drag the dumpster up next to the car, I put the car in reverse, and I start driving backwards, and then I realize my mistake. Because the door, of course, gets drug over the trash can and goes up and over the trash can, warping the car door and destroying what turned out to be a very expensive heavy-duty city trash can. And I was just like, God damn. So I was like, back it on off. Crunk, crunk. I get out and I like kick the door basically like that comedian kicked that retarded man the other night. I gave the door one of those
Big kick.
and kicked it kind of shut, but it didn't quite make it. And then just kept going. There was no stop, and the trash still had to be taken. At this point in my life, I've still got that long-ish driveway, and it's gravel, and I'm not dragging a dumpster in it. And for a while, I had a trash man who would come down my driveway to my house and take it from dumpsters. And then we had a falling out with him. I don't remember what happened.
This is the super trash man?
Yeah, I haven't seen. He's gone. Now what I have an industrial dumpster at my home, a massive dumpster. They come pick it up once. They come pick it up whenever it's full, but that could take 2 months or something like that because it's so big. And I use 55-gallon barrels as trash cans, like the gigantic plastic ones, and I use the outdoor trash bags, and I have 2 of them. So when I take the trash,
you do that in your home. You have 50-gallon. You just have 50-gallon drums as trash bags in your home.
I have 2 of them in the kitchen. Not like the metal drums, but like the biggest plastic trash cans that are made. Those really big ones. Yeah. And I get the biggest trash bags that are made. Like, they're 48-gallon doesn't cut it. It's got to be like the 55-gallon trash bags or whatever. And they're like, I don't know how many mil it is. It's like 8 mil thick. It's so thick you couldn't escape. You can't even tear through it. and
like what they put bodies in.
Yeah, you could totally put bodies in there, and I just dump that into the dumpster every.
Can we watch just a few seconds of this video together to give a vibe for how I do it?
Oh, I'm there. 14 seconds.
Yeah, I timestamped it. All right, ready, set, play. So mine's not playing, but there it is. Basically, you put it on the little thing, and then you push it up, and you drive away. It's and when she's using it on a truck, it fits into like a receiver hitch, but we have one on the golf cart, so we just do that, and then we drive to the curb, and all is well.
That's nice.
That's what the metal bar on trash cans is for. Aha. Okay.
Yeah, when the trash people come,
what a world.
Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say the trash people do it, but they don't use that. They grab it by the side with like a big hugging hook.
Yeah. Well, this is a very convenient way to take your trash out.
Yeah, it's a good system. It's no problem at all. Kyle has a dumpster, so this wouldn't work for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
You said your dumpster can take 2 months to fill? I assume it's not like super close to your home or anything, but like,
it's around
does
the
it ever
back
smell or anything, or is it just?
Yeah, like right after it rains, sometimes it smells because like the rainwater is like draining through the trash and out. So, but it's not. But it's like only smells like when I'm right next to it and like dumping the garbage, and I just don't give a fuck.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't smell while you're in your house, then who cares?
No, not at all. And the other thing that it's really good for is because we've got so many cardboard boxes. I can't explain to you how many there are on a daily basis coming in and out of this home with all the packages that we ship out and all of the Amazon shit that flows in and all of the other companies that are like pumping in like Kitty's products and my products and stuff. There's cardboard boxes everywhere, and it's so nice just to flatten them all out and just throw them into that thing. A burn pit would be good, but I'm in the city. Can't burn.
Oh, so you
here.
wouldn't be allowed to burn shit?
No, and you know they might come and like see what I'm burning, and then they're like, oh, you burned a battery, and then I'm in jail.
How is the city that you're in not rural enough that they'd be like, well, you know, common sense, you know, just
where I am, I'm pretty close to. It's a very small little town, like it's barely even a town, but I'm really close to it, and I'm in the city limits, so it's just a no-go. Same thing with shooting like loud guns here.
Oh, it's nice that your city distinguishes between loud and quiet guns.
They don't distinguish between loud and quiet guns. I distinguish between loud and quiet guns.
They're like, look,
When
you can
does loud
only shoot
start?
guns in your yard if they're nice and quiet.
when does, in your head, Kyle, when does loud begin?
As long as it's suppressed.
Unsilenced,
like
yeah.
like I shoot my suppressed like 22 and I shoot my suppressed 45 here for sure. I've shot the suppressed 45 in the house.
Is the term silencer wrong? Is this...
No, actually, so it's like the cool kids don't like to say silencer because in every little niche group you'd like to really establish a vernacular so that you can
look down on
a
the
spot.
other people.
Well, and so you can figure out who's who, right? Like if I hear a guy talking a certain way, then I know his experience level in anything, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, or this. So I think that's a big part of it. But silencer is 100% correct. When Maxim first, if you look at in the patent description when Maxim filed it for the first suppressor, he called it a silencer. He called it a silencer. The very first silencer was called a silencer, and
But
suppressor is just
if
more
I
correct.
say silencer
factually.
on a show, then gun nuts are going to know that that's a rookie way of speaking.
Unless you go ahead and preface it and say, like, yeah, I know some people don't like saying silencer, but Maxim, the guy who invented the first one, he called it a silencer. So here's my silencer. I've done that
Is like
multiple
clip
times.
or magazine a better example of that?
No. Yeah, absolutely, because they're completely separate things. A clip is something that holds a bunch of bullets, like a stripper clip. Have you ever seen
It's like the
someone load a
Garand
rifle?
thing, right?
Yeah. You take the rifle, you've got your stripper clip in your hand, and you push them all in. And actually with the Garand, the clip stays in the gun, so that's kind of a middle ground. Now that I think about it, I don't think the stripper clip stays in the weapon and then pops out.
Yeah.
So that's slightly different. But there are
read-
other weapons that you just and then the clip gets tossed aside.
I read that magazines were first called clips by World War II veterans. That they called everything a clip because that's the kind of weapon that they had in
Possibly,
war.
yeah.
And then magazines became more prevalent after World War II. I guess that's what I read, and they just kept calling them clips.
Well, a lot of guns. World War II, the bar would have had a magazine. The Tommies would have had magazines. All the S&Gs, of course. But yeah, you're right.
But they were. It wasn't like now where everyone's issued something that takes a magazine.
Certainly not. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe. Yeah. I'd never heard that one. But yeah, magazine clip are two separate.
I still think it's crazy, like the World War II stories you hear of how American soldiers would pick up German guns when they had the opportunity to and use those instead. Like, you've heard about that, I'm
Is
sure.
that true?
Yeah.
It would depend on which gun, right? They would definitely pick up submachine guns if all of a sudden they're in an urban environment and they were issued a Garand or something. If they had a bolt gun or a long gun, and now they're fighting in houses and there's a German submachine gun there, an MP40 or a Papa Shaw if the Russians are nearby.
MP40, obviously, that gun's OP.
Exactly.
Oh, man, that's such a great gun. I liked when I looked online and saw, like, oh, the MP40 was a very successful gun used in World War II. And it was like, yeah, fuck yeah, finally. Like, it's not like one of those guns in COD where you're like, man, this thing must be hard as fuck in real life. And you look it up, and it's like just some Navy SEAL being like, I'd rather have a butter knife than that piece of shit. Or, like, whatever. But,
Woody, did you?
Yeah.
You probably didn't. Did you watch that video that I linked from the Fighter and the Kid podcast?
Actually, I was in the process of watching it.
Oh
and
my god!
So I hope it gets good because so far the guy's trying to tell a story, and both Brian Callahan and
They're
Brendan
going to interrupt
Schwab,
a good bit.
They interrupt
interrupt a good
constantly. I'm
bit.
like, let the guy tell his fucking story. And they're all like, what temperature was it outside? And he's like, actually, hold on. That's a part of the story. And dude, let the guest roll.
It is.
Can you give a little back?
Yeah, so this is a story of a guy who's on SEAL Team 6. He's dropping into the Himalayan mountains from high altitude, which means you have to have oxygen. Although he's like, but I don't need oxygen because I've done it so many times, so I don't use oxygen. And I was like, oh, God, what a hardcore fucker. And he's a big guy. He's like big, bustle up, scary guy. And he's talking about dropping in, and he's going to go tandem. He's going to have an interpreter strapped to his chest. And on the front of the interpreter, there's even more shit strapped to his chest. And between the two of them are all of his navigation gear, his altimeter, his GPS, his compass. And basically, the interpreter gets cold feet, and they have an absolute life and death disaster that takes place between, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 feet and the ground, in which there is vomit, beatings, fights, getting lost, equipment failures.
And by the way, I have to
toggles.
imagine this guy sucks at paragliding. Like, I get it. SEALs are great at everything they ever want to do. But he's probably not good compared to someone whose passion is this. Right? He's just using it as a method of transportation. For some reason, they decided that, like, if they used a paraglider, they said this in the beginning, I think I have it right, they could travel much further. Like, they didn't want big noisy things over the area they were going to, so they were going to have a paraglider, which travels much further, is more efficient, like horizontally, than a parachute. A lot of parachutes are designed to get you down in a hurry. This is designed to get you from point A to B. So, but, like, is he any good at this? Like, how much training has he done?
I always feel like Navy SEALs
You didn't
have
hear
to
him.
do everything.
Have
like
you gotten to the part where he says that? Like he's like, I've jumped this way and I've jumped that way. I've jumped in this country and I've jumped in that country, and we've done it this way and that way, and we did it all day, every day. I've jumped here, I've jumped there, I've jumped like this with this parachute, and that This guy's a fucking expert with the jumping, because that's how they get put in a lot. I promise you, like
Okay.
I was satisfied when he laid out his resume of jumping.
I feel like I haven't gotten there yet, because I just
and
know.
the thing is, at no point, like he saves their lives on the way down because of the stuff he knows, and the problems they had are in no way his fault.
I want to see it.
I feel like Navy
It's
SEAL
excellent.
is that level of military where, like, no amount of, like, diversity hires or whatever is ever going to infiltrate that little coven of the military, you know, because they're just so fucking hardcore, drowning each other and flying through the sky and prepared for everything, kill you with a fucking thimble and a toothpick, you know, jerry-rig that together. Like, all the
Those
YouTube
guys are
videos,
professional soldiers. They spend their whole lives doing that stuff.
but it's so much more amped up than even, like, the other levels of soldiers. You know?
those guys
Like,
are
Army,
often
Marines,
not professional soldiers, though, right?
I mean, but, like, Marines are professional soldiers,
Yeah.
and Navy SEALs are, like, I see it, like, even higher than that. Like, Navy
Yeah,
SEALs is as high as you can go in my head. Maybe I don't know the name of, like, the, you know, the Royal Guard or whatever the fuck.
Delta Force.
Delta Force,
Oh,
I think, is typically considered the one that
Is that
high
Navy
as it-
SEALs, though?
No.
No, that's a different thing. But hey, they sit SEAL Team 6 when they want to get
Osama.
Bin Laden, right? Like
Yeah.
who knows? I'd say they're all real fucking good.
Kyle brings
What-
a strong point, yeah.
The distinguishment that I think of is that, like, I hear about Marines and they're like, oh yeah, I was in the Marines for 4 years or you know, 2 years or 6 years or something like that. But it seems like every time I hear about a Navy SEAL, when, like, that Jocko guy is telling his stories, he's like, oh yeah, it was 1989. That was when I went in and did this and that. It's like, whoa, you've been a SEAL for 25 years? Like, they start doing it and they just do it for 20 years. They are this professional soldier being dropped into the assholes of the world to, like, kill a clan of guys or take out a group of this guy or that guy. Like, who knows? Like, all the crazy shit they do. And they're constantly training. It never ends.
You guys are right, but there's a series of YouTube videos that keeps getting recommended to me, and it's like, ask a Navy SEAL about this or ask a Navy SEAL about that. And it's like, they can't possibly have expertise in all these areas. Like, how to handle a dog bite by a Navy SEAL. That's really one. Really? Are Navy SEALs trained in, like, hand-to-dog combat?
Yes, of course, right?
No
There's
way!
tons of, I guarantee it. And
Really?
I haven't watched that. Yeah, of course, because there's war dogs, right? And you're gonna have to deal with that eventually. You're gonna have to fight a dog. My buddy.
I mean, if you get
fought that
7
dog
kills
that
in a row,
time.
I guess.
My buddy fought that dog that time, and what he said he did was he grabbed it by the jowls, like on either side of its mouth. And he said, and he was a very strong guy. He's 6'3". He was a former Marine. He was a career Marine, actually. 6'3", like 230 pounds, I would say. Real heavy set, big arms, just big dude. And he picked the dog up, and he's like, "You can't do shit then. What's he gonna do then?" He's like, "He can't do shit." And he's like slammed the dog on the ground, and that was it. But you got to get your hands on its jowls, right, which is on either side of its chomping machine.
Yeah, it does.
Hard to fight a dog.
Yeah, that's a one strike and you're out.
It would be easy to
maneuver,
fight a
reaching
dog.
there.
Missed.
Yeah, missed. Yeah, I don't know. Being a Navy SEAL just seems, like, you got to feel fucking hardcore when you're on a mission or something, and you look around at your team of like you and 6 other guys, and it's like, of the whole fucking military, these are the 7 people who they want to send to get shit done. You know, like to make sure that there are no mistakes. Like we couldn't trust this with those other elitely trained units. We need this like special unit that you would purchase for a premium in an RTS game.
These guys are the all-stars of the military. They absolutely are. And unlike an all-star team, like these guys work together on a daily basis. You know, it's a team. They number the teams. We hear about SEAL Team 6, but there's a bunch of SEAL teams, right? And like these guys all know each other. They're brothers. It's not like you're with a different group of guys every time you go out. I think they're like dropping into Somalia one year with Frank and Jim and Dave, and then 4 years later they're dropping into Afghanistan with Frank and Jim and Dave again. You know, like these guys. It's a cool
Tim
thing.
Kennedy
I like.
is living a different life than the. He's like a ranger or something. Well, he's a elite. Like he's in the Army's version, I think, of the Navy SEALs.
Yeah, Army Special Forces,
Army Rangers. Yeah.
And but like, okay, for example, in the Royal Marines or whatever it is, the British one, Prince Harry was a soldier, and he was apparently like a real soldier. He flew helicopters and did real war stuff. I just have to believe, like, every now and then it worked in his favor, right? Like. They're like, yeah, he's a chopper pilot, but you know what? If things get really bad, we pull him out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they absolutely would. Because remember, it got leaked one time that he was deployed in, like, bullshit province, Afghanistan, and immediately they were like, oh, they found out, Harry, we got to pull you out. Somebody, they may actually try to get you. Like, now that they know that the Prince of England is over here fighting. Exactly. Yeah, they pulled him out. I can't imagine that there would be much nepotism as far as, like, getting into the helicopter, being able to fly the helicopter, being competent, but there was definitely probably some like, well, sir, you certainly don't want to go out there with those boys. Like, wouldn't you like to fly one of these twirly birds over here, rockets and machine guns and such? It's like, yeah, I would. Yeah,
it may have been. I don't know how you get selected to like flight school in the first place. Apparently,
he said I wanted to go to flight school and fly a helicopter and blow people up, and they were like, right away, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm
you
saying.
Are Prince, is that right?
W had that, right? W flew like fighter jets to the National Guard during Vietnam.
Yeah.
And you know, that was a big campaign issue back in the day. They pulled a lot of strings to make sure that he didn't do anything dangerous. And
yeah. I can't blame. In which war was he avoiding combat?
Vietnam.
Was it Nam?
Yeah.
Fuck, who cares? Who cares? Chiz was talking about this the other day. Like Chiz was asking if my dad fought in Vietnam. I was like, nah, he didn't get drafted. He's like, why didn't he volunteer? I'm like, because he wasn't a fucking moron. Like they were like I've talked to him about this before. I was like, what was it like? Because he was born in '53, so he was like toward the end of the war. I think he could have been drafted, and he was like, none of us wanted to go. We knew people who had went. We knew people who had a bad time there. We knew people who died there. It was all over television, like the horrors that were going on there. It looked scary, and and none of us felt like we had any fight in that war. Like we didn't know who we were going to fight or why. You know, it was like Muhammad Ali
I can explain
said,
the why.
You know,
they sank an imaginary boat.
Yeah. It's like, and that didn't. Who fucking cared in like '69 or '71, right? Like it didn't. So I was like, no, you fucking go. And if I had been drafted, of course, knowing what I know now, not 1968 and 18-year-old me, 31-year-old Kyle, if they draft me today to go into hypothetical Vietnam, I'm going to Canada, man. I'm not going over there and fighting in a jungle.
Yeah, it's going to be nine-toed Kyle real quick after a video shoot goes horribly and randomly wrong right after you're informed of your, civil duty to attend an an army meeting or whatever the fuck.
Absolutely, man. I would not. I've watched so many. I went down a bit of a YouTube rabbit hole last night, and if anyone's listening to this and they want some quality content, go on there and watch the Navy, or excuse me, the Medal of Honor war stories. You've got the guy sitting in a chair looking at the camera, telling you what happened and how he won the Medal of Honor. Now, some of them, not to take anything away from these guys, but all they did was jump on a live grenade. They saved their comrades, and many times they lived through it somehow, right?
Yeah, how's that?
That's nice.
They tell that story, and those videos are usually short. Those are like the 8-minute how I won the Medal of Honor stories, right? There are some of those videos that are 22 fucking minutes long, though. You want to click that shit. Because for 22 minutes, he's going to be telling you about the shit he did. And these are always these old, grizzled, manly men. Are they like
the Band of Brothers kind of clips they'll have, where they'll like just have the old guy, or the veteran rather, just speaking to you about what they did?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
They had one guy from Vietnam, and he looked like on Sin City, Marv. You know how Marv's chin was big and square and stuck out, and his face was all like rough? He looks like that, and he's got this gravelly voice. I followed the Sarge up the mountain, and he walked off the trail, always off the trail. And about halfway up, we heard the explosions. That was our buddy stepping on the mines. I said, "Thanks, Sarge, for leading me the right way." Well, they cut Sarge down right then and there. Blew me up too, and I looked down through the blood in my eyes, and my hands was blowed up, and it just keeps. That's how these stories start, right? He's like, my hands was all blowed up, and there was blood in my eyes, and all I could see was fire, and I realized it was a North Vietnamese with a flamethrower burning my friends alive, and he took one look at me, and I recognized so pitifully, he figured he'd just let me go ahead and die like I was, and he kept on moving, and that's when I crawled and crawled until I found a few of my buddies, and they was hiding in a damn hole, not fighting, not shooting at nobody. And I said, "Give me your damn weapon." And he wouldn't give it to me. He gave me his pistol, though. And I was begging for one more magazine when the gooks started coming at me. And I took one out. He was trying to take me alive. And I, pow. And he's just telling this story. And it just keeps escalating. And he's like, the Sarge was gone. So I said, "Give me all the radios." And I had all 3 radios, one for the Navy guns, and one for the artilleryman, and one for the aircraft. And I was calling the air support right in on top of us, and it was blowing up all around. And there was 36 of us that went in, and 7 of us that come out. And I'm one of them. And that's how I won the Medal of Honor. And like all the stories are like that. Like
that's
this crazy
so awesome.
Shit.
I like those stories.
I
when,
like the accent.
It goes into. I know it was very well done.
Yeah.
I like those when like you almost get to the point of like when they win a huge battle in Lord of the Rings. Like when the fucking undead horde show up, you're like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That would never happen." Like you get that kind of result with some of these Medal of Honor stories, where like halfway through it'll be like, "And then I made my way into the tunnels. I went in with 2 ears on my head, and I came out with 9 on a necklace around my neck."
I started
all
crying.
Japanese, and you'll be like,
Alex
"Oh,
Jones
that's
is pretty
more.
badass over there.
Now, the thing you need
listened
to understand
to,
about this joke,
The best one I
Vietnam
listened
never
to,
happened. You know,
the best story I heard made me cry at the end. It made me cry. It was so powerful and just ridiculous. This guy, I think there was about 40 of these guys. They were artillerymen. These are the guys firing the big guns, many miles. And a major lands at their position and tells them, "You're going to get hit tonight. 100%. Prepare yourselves." So he's like, my Sarge was 27 years old. He was an old guy to us, and he was always busting our ass, making us take our bullets out of our magazines and polish them, and he'd make us take our artillery shells and polish them, and just always constantly with this shit. And so that night, the enemy comes, and they're using these artillery pieces with beehive rounds. Each round fires 18,000 buckshot with a boom straight ahead. They've leveled the guns. The enemy is advancing. I think there's 3,000 of them. I don't remember the exact number, but it's an overwhelming number of them. And he's manning the gun that's closest to them. There are guns behind him. And he's loading up this beehive round. He pulls it off and just shoots and just kills many, many of them. Well, a mortar round lands next to him, and his friends think that he's dead because it's blown up all of his shit. It's injured him severely, but he's not dead. He's getting up trying to reload. His friends fire their beehive round, and it hits him. He gets shot through. They're not ball bearings. They're darts. I misspoke. He gets shot through the ass with a ton of these darts, like from where his flak jacket stops at the top of his butt to like the top of his thighs is just shot through with darts. So he's laying there all fucked up, unconscious. When he comes to, he is in the middle of the enemy. There are hundreds of them in waves running past him. He picks up an M16 with 400 rounds of ammo and goes through all of it, killing the men around him from feet to yards away from him. Kills all of them he can with that, and then he starts crawling around in the mud and the darkness looking for the ingredients to load the gun again. It's all blown apart, right? So he's just looking everywhere. Oh, he puts the round in, and he's got to fill the powder charge up. He said, I only thought I'd get one shot. So I filled it with all the powder it could take. We'd never done that before. He said, and I finally got there, and I said, good Lord, this is my last one. Thank you. Thank you for letting me get this load. And he pulls the lanyard, and he goes, tink! Didn't go off. He said, and I just hung my head, and I thought this is the end. And then that gun went, whoa, 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 and started a shaking, and it went, whoa, whoa, whoa! He said, my buddies behind me said, we thought you rigged up some kind of a damn flamethrower. Because when that thing went off, it shot a cloud of fire out, and it blinded half the enemy and blew away hundreds more. And he keeps loading the gun and firing. That wasn't his last shot until he's really. And he says, I kept loading and firing until I heard, hold your fire, I'm a GI on the other side of the river. And I looked up, and it was my buddy, and he's on the wrong side of the river, and he's hurt. So he starts crawling to the river. He gets on an air mattress, still shot through, and starts swimming. He starts swimming. He gets to the other side. He says, I looked down in the foxhole, and it wasn't one man. It was three. And I said, Lord, I only got the strength to bring one back. You're going to have to help me get the other two. And I started coming back with all three men. What?
This is like when you play Call of Duty and you want, like, you level up quickly, but you want to try and get a whole nother level in that same game. This guy was going for 2 Medals of Honor at this. I bet he probably got more than one.
Turns out
that's bananas.
Excal was in Vietnam, not the real one, the one on the screen.
Just the first guy I told the story about, the
people.
Guy with the gravelly voice. He had been considered 3 times, maybe at least 3 times for the Medal of Honor. He's like, and this is the time he won because he was just always doing crazy shit. Those stories are excellent. Some of them, like I said, it's like I jumped on the grenade and I saved my friends or whatever, and that's it's not as entertaining, I guess I'll say, as the ones where they turn into superheroes, and it's just unbelievable.
I think Brian Stan has a story like that. Brian Stan, he's a UFC fighter. He's a commentator. I'm sure you'd recognize him if you saw him. But apparently, I can't do it. I don't know the story that well. But he was like in a tank convoy, and they got like they're driving through some low road, and there's hills on either side. Then all of a sudden, the enemy comes over like both sides, and he's like, "All right, I guess time to kill all them." And that's what he did next. If I have the story right, it was something like that. And
those I really really like those stories, and they have them from all the wars. From there's guys from World War II on there.
I'll have to check it out.
That talk about fighting fucking Nazis and the Japanese. Like there's a flamethrower guy, and he's talking about crawling toward the Japanese machine gun, and because of the level and the elevation and you can only tip the machine gun down so far. You can't aim it any lower. The bullets are ricocheting off his tank. Ting, ting of the flamethrower as he crawls, and he's like, I crawled back. They're just gonna blow me up and burn me alive, all my friends. Gotta keep going. And he burnt like 8 pillboxes up and killed bunches of guys. The ones where they go hand to hand, I really like. I like when they have to. There was one guy who picked up a machine gun that was hot with his bare hands. It was terrible burns. The barrels get incredibly hot.
I think I know that one. He had to
pick it up and move it, and he just all those stories.
That also happened in Band of Brothers.
That happened in the other one, in like the Pacific one, and that it was from the true story. What is it called?
Pacific? The true story was from the Pacific
it's just
War.
the Pacific.
So,
it wasn't Band of Brothers. What was its like sister one?
It was called the Pacific.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was pretty close.
Yeah, those are both great.
Yeah, I can't help but I'll often get emotional when I watch those things because I'm really appreciative that those guys went and did that for our country and for them. So they weren't like, yeah, this is for Uncle Sam, as they gutted 15 Germans. They were probably like, this is for Dave and Mark back there in that hole, and for me, so that I don't get captured and tortured. But still, they were there fighting for our country and stuff. And I get really choked up when they're like, when he said, And there wasn't one man in the hole. There was 3. And I said, Lord, you're going to have to help me get the other 2 because I can't. I'm like, I got to pause and I'm like,
Yeah. As you tell the story, I'm like, oh, that's so sad. You know, he had to make a decision on which one to save. No, there's another choice.
Yeah, just muscle 3 people over there with a bunch of darts in your ass.
Yeah. My favorite story of all time that I've told a bunch of times is the one from Vietnam. And it's really, they really sell it because they show the picture of this old man when he was in Vietnam. And you see this hulking guy who's like 6'2", 240 with very wide shoulders and a real thick body. Like, he's not low body fat. Like, he is a thick, muscular, powerful human being. He doesn't have like abs as much as he looks like a power lifter or something like that. And he's got double bandoliers of ammo like crisscrossed on his chest. He's shirtless and he's holding an M60 with one hand, if I remember correctly, like this big beefy motherfucker. And he's telling this story of fighting hundreds of the Vietnamese and getting blown up twice. And in the end, one of his friends been shot in the head and half his skull's gone. The other friend's been shot in the ass and one of his ass cheeks is gone. So he puts them both on his back and swims out to sea 3 to 5 miles. I don't remember, but it was at least 3 miles he swam with 2 men so that the Navy could pick him up.
Yeah, but
I don't even know. Like
the guy with half of his head gone.
He lived. That's the best part. At the end, at the very, very end of this interview, he's like, and Larry, he's all good now. I saw him last year. And they cut to Larry, and he's got an eye patch and reconstructive surgery. And he's like, yeah, he pulled me out of there. Anybody else would have left me behind. Half my head was gone. He pulled me out of there. And he's like Larry, half of Larry's head's gone. And the other guy, the guy who had pulled that man out of that hole and swam him across the beach, he was like, and I got to see his kids. I got to hold his grandbabies last week. And they got a picture of him holding the guy's grandkids, and I cried again.
There were similar heroics in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, so you might like that.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but there are action scenes, and they are very brave.
I look forward to that very much. I still haven't seen Logan, and I don't feel like spending $15 to purchase it. You can't. I don't like that when movies first get released. You gotta.
I saw Logan, played that. I thought I'd like it more. I didn't realize that it takes place and Logan has reduced powers, so it's barely a superhero movie. It's almost a badass dude movie, and Logan's aged. I guess I knew intellectually that Logan didn't age. I mean, I had seen all the movies and stuff, but somehow I forgot that, all right, if he has ineffective powers, he's going to start getting older. And I was looking for a movie called Wolverine, and I saw a movie called Logan, and that was that. Also,
the same director made the movie The Wolverine. Have you seen it? That's when he's in Japan, and he fights that robot, robot.
I like that one a lot. Yeah, that one that's the kind of movie that I was hoping to see. But grittier and Deadpoolish with sex and shit, but that's not what happened. Also, if there's a second main character, it was this little girl who is Wolverine-like. You can get this from the trailers, it's not a spoiler. And she barely speaks English. She speaks Spanish. And I'm like, why is the main character in this film not able to talk? How is that good?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I didn't know that little caveat. I know they're in Mexico, but I was really hoping she could speak English.
She has a few words, but it's.
I'm gonna watch it. I saw it last night. It was $15, and I was like, I don't like it $15 worth. I just want to rent this thing, not own it forever. This isn't Judge Dredd. He's not the law. I've watched Judge Dredd so many fucking times. It's obnoxious. The people in my life hate it. I'm like, we could watch Judge Dredd. And then everybody's like, no, not again. I'm like, but he's the law. He is the law. Yeah, I'm
That's funny.
A fan sent me the Ultra HD Blu-ray and everything, and so I watched that. I watched it all the time. I love that shit. That's one of my favorite movies. I think that's one of the best new action movies that's been made. I love how gritty it is. I like
this is not the Stallone version, but the newer one.
No, this is it's Carl Urban. See, Stallone. It's based on a graphic novel. Stallone completely disrespected the graphic novel by taking the helmet off. The character never does that, and in years of this comic across its arc, you've never seen the guy take his helmet off. He doesn't do that shit. And first thing Stallone does, because he's a prima donna, he takes the helmet off. But Carl Urban never does. You just get the frown. It's just the frown the whole fucking time.
Did you?
I really.
You probably know this already, but Tom Cruise was offered the part of Iron Man, and he wanted to constantly take the helmet off, because he's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And Turns out Robert Downey Jr. is so good in that role.
Oh yeah. DiCaprio could have done it too, but I think that Robert Downey Jr. Really owns it. He looks like Tony Stark.
DiCaprio could have done it.
Oh yeah, like
he is a shitty actor. Oh my god! Every time he's in something, I am distracted by how bad his acting is. He's in these great films,
Really?
And then you get like the fucking Quaalude scene in Wolf of Wall Street was hard to sit through. He's such a shitty actor. I don't know, him yelling and doing the speeches on the board. He's so shitty in Wolf of Wall Street. It distracts me from an interesting story. That's the kind of movie I might like.
I thought he was pretty good in Wolf of Wall Street.
I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah,
I am the opposite opinion.
What else?
I think he's the best actor his age or younger that there is. Fucking Daniel Day-Lewis just kills him. Daniel Day-Lewis is the best in my opinion. I think I said one time he's the greatest American actor, but he's not fucking American. But he's so good at those accents. It's easy
but we co-opt him. Yeah.
Who's the guy?
Easy to forget.
He was heavy. He was in
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's who I'm looking for. Yeah, he's dead, but I didn't appreciate how great an actor he was until he died. That guy was every role he killed.
You should watch that movie with him and Joaquin Phoenix. It's called The Master. I think it's shot in 4K. No, it's filmed in 70 millimeter. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's really nice quality. It's bizarre. Philip Seymour Hoffman is like a cult leader, kind of a Scientology kind of thing, warping people's minds. Joaquin Phoenix falls under his spell, and there's a lot of really powerful. There's this one really powerful scene where he's making Joaquin like walk back and forth across the room, and like I can't remember the exact specifics, but it's like he walks to one end and it's like touch the glass. Now walk to the other end and touch the wood, and he's going back and forth until he can feel the glass when he touches the wood.
Oh, I've seen this movie.
It's all this bizarre stuff. Yeah,
it's a cult movie.
You know what's getting good? Better Call Saul is turning it around for me.
Saw it last night.
I'm just waiting until it's all available so I can binge
bacon.
it.
I ate my mustard bacon while I watched Better Call Saul last night.
I haven't seen yesterday's, so I guess I'm 1 week behind. But I'm looking forward to it.
Jimmy.
No spoilers.
No, don't ruin it. I'll see it probably right after this.
Jimmy's the star this week, I think.
That's good. The more Jimmy, the better, in my opinion.
Special guest star from Mike. It's Mike and Jimmy. No horse shit really. This week.
I want to see his brother's downfall too, so I look forward to that.
Yeah.
But
rap? I enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely rap. I want to go play some Battlegrounds.
Very good. All right, that was PKN episode 145. Hope you guys like hanging out with us.